Metro Manila is not being spared from the wrath of Typhoon Ulysses.
Now, our Paolo Persalon has been covering the situation since last night. Paolo, we do understand that Marikina River, the water level has been raised to third alarm and that evacuations are underway in Quezon City. Do tell us more about what you're seeing, Paolo.
Paolo and Christine, good morning. It seems as if Typhoon Ulysses had really made its presence felt here in Metro Manila, particularly in the both cities you've been mentioning over the last few hours. Now, strong winds and hard rains battered both cities, forcing families to evacuate to safety. Overnight here in Marikina City, residents of Barangay Malanday trooped to evacuation centers. Evacuees in an open-air center had to be transferred here to the Malanday Elementary School. Water levels rose since late last night, prompting citizens to evacuate.
Para sigurado, baka umapaw yung tubig.
Lagi po kami lumilikas dito pag alerto na po.
Anong level ng tubig kayo lumikas?
Mga 15. First alarm po.
Now, meanwhile, in Quezon City, evacuation centers have filled up since last night with measures to ensure observance of COVID-19 related health protocols. At least 150 families evacuated in Barangay Tatalon and another 40 in Barangay Apolonio, Samson.
Kapag sinusundo nila natin sa area na huwag kakalimutan magdala ng kanilang face mask at saka face shields.
Doon po sa ating geohazard map before, pag sa worst case scenario ang Barangay Tatalon, kabilang ang mga karatig barangay po ay lulubog in case po maging grabe ang bagyo na dumating.
Now, early this morning, an acacia tree also fell near the GMA Kamuning MRT3 station, causing traffic to be diverted to nearby roads. Public Works personnel cleared the road, and before 2 a.m., EDSA southbound, or that portion of EDSA southbound, was made passable once again. We have to note and thank, rather, these frontliners, Anchor. They really risk life and limb just to keep our roadways safe. Back to you guys.
All right, Paolo, I think current water levels in the Marikina River continue to rise. I believe you're already approaching a third alarm level. What's the situation now?
Well, Paolo, we have this just in. According to the Marikina Public Information Office's Facebook page, water levels in the Marikina River have already reached 20.7 meters. That's just a few meters away from the 23-meter water level that was recorded during the onslaught of Typhoon Ondoy back in 2009. Now, we have to remember, Paolo, that Marikina City implements a three-stage evacuation system. When water levels hit 15 meters, residents are encouraged to prepare to evacuate. That's the first alarm. And then once it reaches 16 meters, evacuations in low-lying areas would start. That means 16 meters rather would mean the second alarm. And once it reaches 18 meters, that's the third alarm, where forced evacuation measures will be implemented. So you can just imagine how high of a water level that is in Marikina River earlier. And we also noted that fast rise in water levels. When we went there at around 12 o'clock this morning, water levels were still manageable. When we tried to go back there, we couldn't even see the spot where we tried to get a live shot for. So you can really just imagine how fast water levels are rising, because Marikina is considered to be a catch basin from different water systems in what we call the upland areas such as Rizal. Back to you guys.
Paolo, Christine here. Now, you mentioned, you started monitoring the water levels maybe at around midnight. At 6 a.m., it has already risen up to 20. Now, we don't see the storms or rains letting up anytime soon. So do tell us, with that, people have been evacuated. Sino-sino naman yung mga kadalasang lumilikas, Pao?
Well, Christine, one of the groups of people that we saw are members of the vulnerable populations. Really, these are senior citizens, young children, persons with disabilities, and we have to give credit where credit is due. Marikina's local government as well as Quezon City's local government have really, tried to learn their lessons from years of having to cope with these kinds of calamities. They've put evacuation spots in places where these members of the vulnerable population could easily access them. And it's usually the male members of the household who are left inside their homes, which is the usual excuse, if you will. They're the ones who are guarding the properties. They're the ones who are trying to make sure that it's safe. But with water levels rising, we've steadily seen a mixed group of people. We've seen families, we've seen entire neighbors, groups of neighbors evacuate together. So you can really give a sense of how prepared, especially people here in Marikina, when it comes to evacuations. They really do heed and take the advice of authorities really seriously. Christine?
Pao?
There, Andre has a question for you.
Pao? Thanks, Christine. Pao,
Yeah,
Andre
go
here.
ahead, Andre.
Yeah, nabanggit mo yung mga residents dyan, very resilient. Ang dami ng pinagdaanan na bagyo. Nabanggit mo nga yung Ondoy. It was hit hard sa Marikina. Tanong ko sa iyo, Pao, kamusta yung mga residents dyan, yung spirit nila? And also, may kuryente ba ngayon? Kasi ang daming areas sa Luzon, sa Metro Manila na walang kuryente. May kuryente ba dyan sa Marikina, Pao?
Particularly dito sa evacuation center, Andre, sa Malanday Elementary School, walang kuryente. But, residents are already starting to wake up, but you can really feel the anxiety in some of them. In fact, some even try to, borrow my phone to contact family members, and we really understand how difficult this is to be evacuating in the middle of a coronavirus pandemic. This is not the usual evacuation procedures that we see. We have to observe physical distancing. In fact, when we went to Barangay Malanday earlier this morning, groups, evacuees had to be separated in groups. And one of the things that we noticed in both cities, Quezon City and Marikina, since I've been roving around those cities, is that they're trying to really take these health protocols seriously. Before, Andre, pag pumunta ka sa mga evacuation center, ang makikita mo, dikit-dikit yung pamilya. Ngayon, what they do is they put modular tents inside these classrooms, 4 modular tents to 1 classroom, and they really try to limit the number of people inside. So that only goes to show how space is becoming a consideration when it comes to evacuating, and the observance also of minimum health standards. So we have to really check kasi may mga ilang tao nagbababa ng face mask, may mga ibang tao na wala na ring suot, particularly yung mga bata. So kailangan talaga mapaalalahanan itong mga members, itong mga evacuees na nasa evacuation centers to really observe COVID-19 related health protocols. Andre?
Maraming salamat, Paolo. Job well done. Just stay safe there. That was Paolo Barcelon reporting live from Marikina.